I found my wife's secret Instagram. The hashtag on every photo made my blood run cold. The grandfather clock in our living room didn't just mark time, it devoured it. Each heavy, brass tick was a bite taken out of silence. A silence so profound I could hear the faint, electronic hum of the refrigerator from the kitchen. It was the soundtrack of my Tuesdays. Sarah, my wife of 7 years, was at work. The house, our home, felt less like a sanctuary and more like a beautifully appointed waiting room. I was waiting for... what? The next project to land in my inbox? For Sarah to come home? For the feeling of static in my veins to finally subside? I was sprawled on the sofa, the leather cool against my skin. My thumb was engaged in its own mindless ballet, tracing arcs on my phone's glowing screen, scrolling, an endless digital fidget. My feed was a river of polished banality, an acquaintance's impossibly sunny vacation photos from Greece, a meme about the existential dread of Mondays, an ad for a car I would never buy. I was a ghost in the machine, observing lives that seemed more vivid, more intentional than my own. It was a hollow comfort, this passive consumption of other people's happiness. It was in the state of half-awareness, this digital stupor, that I saw it. A comment on a post from Mark, an old college friend I hadn't seen in years. It was under a photo of his new baby, a pink, squalling thing swaddled in a blue blanket. The comment read simply, "Red heart fire. A single fiery heart emoji. Innocuous enough, but the username attached to it was at Echo in the Static. The name itself was a pebble dropped into the still pond of my boredom. Echo in the Static. It was evocative, poetic, and strangely mournful. It didn't belong with chorus of congrats, and so cute, that filled the rest of the thread. But it was the profile picture that made the breath catch in my throat. It was a tight crop, a sliver of fiery orange sunset blazing against a deep, purplish blue sky. It was a view I knew in my bones. The view from Cape Perpetua, on the rugged Oregon coast. The place where Sarah and I had hiked on the third day of our honeymoon. Where I'd held her from behind, her back pressed against my chest, her hair smelling of salt and pine, as we watched the sun dissolve into the Pacific, whispering promises of a lifetime filled with such moments. Sarah, my Sarah, the woman who scoffed at Instagram, who called it a digital dystopia of curated loneliness. The woman whose phone was a utilitarian tool for calls, texts, and the occasional map, not a portal to a filtered reality. Her disdain for it was one of her core tenets, something I'd always admired, even found reassuring in a world gone mad for likes. She was present. She was here. She was real. Yet here was an account, with a piece of our most intimate, sacred history as its banner. A cold trickle of unease, like a single drop of ice water, traced a path down my spine. It's a coincidence, I reasoned, my internal voice a little too loud, a little too frantic. Asterisk a stock photo. A bot. Someone with similar taste. Asterisk, but the name, it was too specific, too weighted. It sounded like a secret identity in a spy novel, a line from a forgotten poem. It sounded, to my suddenly aching heart, like a cry for help. My thumb, now slick with fine layers of sweat, hovered over the username. This was a threshold, a line drawn in the digital sand. On one side was a comfortable, known reality of my marriage, with its quiet Tuesdays and shared takeout. On the other was, what? A mystery, a secret, a truth I might not be ready to face. I took a breath I didn't realize I was holding and tapped. The profile loaded. Private, a ghostly, default silhouette avatar stood next to the sliver of our sunset. The bio was empty, a void, but the numbers, they screamed at me. 147 posts, 12 followers, 3 following. The numbers hit me like a physical blow, a sucker punch to the gut. 147 posts. This wasn't a dormant account, a forgotten relic. It was a vibrant, active secret, a diary with a global audience of 12. Who were they? Who was she sharing her life with? Who were these three entities she deemed worthy of following? The excuses my mind conjured were flimsy, pathetic things, collapsing under the weight of those damning numbers. A private account for a book club? She listened to audiobooks on her commute. She didn't discuss them. For her family? Her mother called her every Sunday, a ritual as dependable as a tide, sharing every mundane detail. A surprise for me, my birthday was in 6 months. This level of curation was a lifetime's work. The drill of curiosity was boring into my skull now, a high-pitched whine drowning out the voice of reason, of decency. This was a violation. I knew it in my soul. To look would be to cross a line from which there was no return. It would change everything. But the not knowing had suddenly become a greater terror, a yawning chasm beneath my feet. With a finger that trembled slightly, I tapped follow. The button turned from gray to blue. Requested. I was now a supplicant at the gates of my wife's hidden kingdom, waiting for the queen to grant me entry. I put my phone down on the coffee table, the device suddenly feeling radioactive. A loaded gun. I stood up, pacing the length of our Persian rug, its intricate, ancient patterns seeming to swim and ride before my eyes. The next few hours were a masterclass in psychological torture. I tried to lose myself in the flickering images of the television, some nature documentary about the Serengeti, but the narration was meaningless noise. I picked up the dog-eared novel on my nightstand, but the words were just black squiggles on a white page. All I could see was that sliver of sunset from Cape Perpetua. All I could hear was that haunting name, echoing in my own static. Echo _ static. When I finally heard the key scrape in the lock, a sound that usually brought me comfort, my heart leaped into my throat, a frantic, trapped bird. The door swung open, and there she was, my Sarah. Her cheeks were flushed from the cool evening air. A few strands of her dark hair had escaped her bun and framed her face like a painting. She dropped her heavy work bag by the door with a familiar, solid thud and gave me a smile that, until this very moment, I believed I knew every nuance, every secret of. "Hey, you," she said, her voice laced with tired warmth that usually melted my own stress away. God, what a day. I feel like I've been run over by a tractor. I'm starving. What do you feel like for dinner? She looked exactly like my wife. She moved like my wife, with that slight, graceful sway in her hips. She was wearing the soft, blue cashmere sweater I bought her for her birthday last year. The reality of her, the tangible, present tense truth of her standing there, was so powerful it nearly convinced me I had imagined the whole thing. The digital phantom, the secret identity, it all vanished in the solid reality of her presence. Relief washed over me, so sweet and potent it felt like intoxication. I was a fool, a paranoid, insecure fool, poisoned by the very digital dystopia she despised. "Ty," I suggested, my voice only slightly unsteady, hoping she wouldn't notice the tremor. "We could get the drunken noodles from that place you like." "Perfect," she said, her smile widening for a fraction of a second before she came over, leaned down, and kissed my forehead, her scent jasmine and fresh air filling my senses. Then she headed toward the bedroom to change out her work clothes. We ate pad thai and drunken noodles straight from the cardboard containers, sitting cross-legged on the living room floor like we used to when we were first dating, the coffee table pushed aside. We talked. She told me about a difficult, demanding client who had changed his mind a dozen times. I told her about a frustrating, elusive bug in my code that had stolen my entire afternoon. It was all so normal. It was the script of our life, performed flawlessly. But beneath the surface, I was a detective studying a suspect, a spy searching for a single, telling crack in the perfect facade. I watched her hands as she deftly used her chopsticks, the same hands that had, according to the evidence, taken 147 secret photographs. I looked into her eyes, the same warm, brown eyes that had composed captions for a hidden audience of 12. I saw nothing but my wife. Later, the sound of the shower running, a familiar, comforting white noise, was my cue. The devil, now perched firmly on my shoulder, its whispers drowning out the last shreds of my conscience. Asterisk, you have to know, for your own sanity, to prove it's nothing, to quiet the noise in your head. Asterisk. Her iPad was on the coffee table, its sleek black screen a dark mirror reflecting the lamplight. It was our shared device in theory, but it was really hers. It was logged into her world, her email, her browser history. It was the key. My hand trembled as I picked it up. The cool, smooth glass felt like skin. I pressed the home button. The screen lit up. A grid of apps against a background photo of us laughing on a beach in Mexico. Our skin sun-kissed. Our smiles unforced. The irony was a sharp, physical sting. I took a breath, a futile attempt to steady myself, and tapped the familiar, rainbow-hued Instagram icon. It opened directly to an account. Not hers. Theirs. At echo in the static. There was no requested. No barrier. No permission needed. I was already in. I was an intruder in my wife's secret garden. The air left my lungs in a quiet, defeated rush. My heart was no longer a bird but a jackhammer, a wild, frantic thing beating against my ribs as if trying to escape its bony cage. I tapped the profile icon and the grid loaded a mosaic of a stranger, a beautiful, haunting, and profoundly lonely stranger. The first photo was of her morning coffee, but it wasn't in our chipped, beloved World's Best Dad mug, a Father's Day gift from a lifetime ago that I used every day. It was in a delicate bone-white porcelain cup I had never seen, placed on a rustic, scarred wooden table that wasn't ours. The steam curled in a perfect, ethereal spiral, caught in a sliver of morning light. The caption read, "The first sip is a promise the rest of the day rarely keeps." Hashtag echoes of me. I scrolled, my finger moving with a dreadful, morbid urgency. A photo of her wrist, draped elegantly over the spine of a book. A new, delicate silver bracelet with a single, teardrop-shaped charm circled her pale skin. I'd never seen that bracelet before. The book's title was obscured, but the cover was a deep, bruised purple. Hashtag echoes of me. A picture of her feet, bare and pale, pressed into the dew-soaked grass of our own backyard. But the angle was low, intimate, making the familiar, slightly patchy lawn look like an endless, wild meadow at the break of dawn. Hashtag echoes of me. There were no full faces, no smiles directed at the camera, no pictures of our home, our friends, our shared life, and most glaringly, no pictures of me. I had been erased, edited out of the narrative. This was a gallery of fragments, of shadows and implications. It was a portrait of an interior life, meticulously curated and utterly isolated. Each image was a whisper, a sigh, a small, beautiful artifact of solitude I never knew she cultivated. This was Sarah, but a Sarah untethered from me, from us. And on every single one, the same relentless, haunting hashtag. Hashtag echoes of me. At first, it was just a tag, a label. Then, as I scrolled through dozens, then over 100 posts, it became a mantra, a lament, a confession. It was a key that unlocked a terrible, suffocating truth. This wasn't about another man. This wasn't about infidelity in the carnal sense. This was about identity. It was a digital cry of a woman who felt she'd become an echo of her former self, her true voice lost, drowned in the static of her daily life. A life that included me, I wasn't the other man. I was part of the noise she was trying to scream over. I was the static. My blood, which had been pounding with adrenaline and a sick kind of excitement, began to turn cold. It was a slow, creeping chill, starting to marrow my bones and seeping outwards, freezing me from the inside. This was a grief I didn't know how to name. The grief of realizing the person you love most, the person you sleep beside every night, feels invisible, unheard, and utterly alone beside you. I scroll faster, my vision blurring, the images becoming a smear of melancholy beauty. Hashtag echoes of me. A photo of rain streaking a window pane, the world outside a watery blur. Hashtag echoes of me. An extreme close-up of her eye, a single perfect tear caught on her lower lash, the brown of her iris looking like a storm-tossed sea. Hashtag echoes of me. A picture of an empty armchair bathed in a solitary sunbeam, a ghost of a presence. Then I stopped. My heart didn't just skip a beat. It seemed to freeze solid in my chest, a lump of ice. The breath I was holding solidified in my lungs. The most recent photo was from last night, Tuesday night, a little over 24 hours ago. It was a picture of me. I was standing at the kitchen sink, my back to the camera, my shoulders slumped in a posture of weariness and defeat I recognized all too well. The evening dishes were stacked haphazardly beside me, a monument to our shared domestic neglect. The photo was taken from behind the half-open kitchen door, shot through the crack, as if she were hiding, spying on her own life. The composition was perfect, the lighting soft and melancholic, casting long, deep shadows. I looked like a ghost in my own home, a stranger, a prop, but the caption is what broke me, what shattered the foundation of our 7 years and left me standing in the ruins. It's the silence that's the loudest. It has a texture, like ruffle against bare skin. It has a weight, like stones in my pockets, pulling me down. He stands right there, close enough to touch, and I have never been more alone. This is the echo. This is me. Hashtag echoes of me. The iPad slipped from my numb fingers, thudding dully onto the thick Persian rug. The screen went black, a dark, judgmental eye. I stared at it, unable to move, unable to breathe, unable to think. The truth didn't feel like an explosion. It felt like an implosion, a vast, interior collapse of everything I thought was solid. Every shared silence I had taken for comfort, every distracted I'd offered while staring at my screen. Every night I spent lost in my own projects instead of being lost in her. They weren't just minor marital neglects. They were bricks, carefully and silently laid, in the wall she had built around herself. A wall she documented, beautifully and tragically, for 12 strangers. A wall I had been too blind, too self-absorbed to even see. The bathroom door opened with a soft, definitive click. A cloud of steam, fragrant with her jasmine and vanilla shampoo, billowed into the living room, a warm, scented ghost. Sarah emerged, wrapped in a towel, her skin pink and glowing from the heat, her dark hair plastered to her neck and shoulders in wet, slick tendrils. She saw me first, saw the look on my face, a mask of shattered comprehension, of dawning, horrifying understanding. Then her eyes, wide and alert, darted to the iPad, lying dark and guilty on the floor between us, a silent accuser. The transformation on her face was instantaneous and devastating. The relaxed, post-shower serenity didn't just fade. It was wiped away, erased by a pale, wide-eyed horror. That raw horror then melted, not into anger, but into something infinitely worse. A deep, bone-weary, soul-crushing resignation. She didn't look angry that I'd snooped. She didn't look defensive, ready to fight. She just looked caught, finally and utterly caught. The woman behind the curtain, not the great and powerful Oz, but just a lonely, sad woman with a secret. her shoulders slumped, mirroring exactly the posture of my own in her photograph. She didn't say a word. She didn't need to. She just stood there, water dripping from the ends of her hair onto her bare shoulders, her eyes holding mine across the charred space of the living room. And in that endless, silent scream of a moment, a chasm of 7 years of unspoken words and unheard whispers yawning between us, I finally heard the echo, and it shattered me into a million unrecognizable pieces.